Hello everyone, I'm going to show you how to use MAXQDA to analyze your survey data. So imagine that you have closed and open-ended survey. So let me show you what I have now. So you see here, I have my participant demographics and also I have my demographic data here and I have open-ended responses here, right? And also at the end, it's about quantitative data, which is measuring their cultural intelligence. So imagine that you have this kind of data, you have a survey data. How do you use MathQDA to help you to make sense of your data? How do you analyze both the open-ended responses and also quantitative data that you have? I'm going to show you step by step how to do it. So in this demonstration, I'm going to show you how to prepare your data, right? You can clean your data and make your survey data and make it ready for the analysis. How to also create containers for your research questions and also how to organize your code, develop themes, and also how to conduct statistical analysis for the quantitative data that you have in a survey format. And then you how to visualize your data. And we're going to go through all of these visualizations, and you don't have to do all of them. You just choose the one that you feel comfortable explaining and that will add value to your presentation. So these are the things that I'm going to talk about. If you have any question, you can put in the comment section. I'll be happy to address them for you. And also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And then, so let's move on. A little bit of background information about the data that I'm going to use. So this data is generated for demonstration purpose, right? And you can see here, this data is about mental health stigma. To explore mental health providers' perception about mental health stigma in terms of the cause and the contributing factors related to mental health stigma. And also the second research question is mental health stigma solutions. What efforts are currently being made to address mental health stigma? And then for the quantitative portion, right, these are the two research questions that I want to address. The first one is what is the effect of gender on cultural intelligence? The second one, what is the effect of education on cultural intelligence? These are the questions that I'm going to address using MaxQDA. So let's go straight to MaxQDA. But before we go to MaxQDA, you have to really make sure that your data is ready for you to upload. So I have my survey data and see the first column should always be called document type. If you don't do that, the system might not be able to accept your document, right? So you can see here the document type, and I indicate that they are all surveys. You should create a first column, which is called document type, and then type survey for all of them. So there are 100 participants, and I type survey. The second one is participant ID, and you provide participant ID. For me, I did it P1 to P100, right? And then I move on and, I have my demographic information and also open-ended responses to questions that were asked. And lastly, the quantitative data about cultural intelligence. So this is how you have to format your Excel spreadsheet before you upload your information. The most important in terms of formatting is always the first column should be document type. So when you finish, make sure that you save, and I'm going to go to MaxQDA. So this is what you see when you open MaxQDA. So you're going to start a new project. So you click on new here, and then it will ask you to name the project. I will just say mental health stigma project. So then I click on save. So you have to look for a place to save this project, and then I click on save. Right. Then this is what you're going to see. So the first step is to upload your survey data. How do you upload? You go to import, and you see here it says survey data. You click on that, and then you choose the one that is appropriate for you. So you can upload it. If you have it in Excel spreadsheet, you can choose the first option. So you can upload it also from SurveyMonkey if you have it there. And also you can upload it if it's in SPSS format, right? Ours is in Excel spreadsheet, so I'll click on this one, and then I look for the data. So this is the data, I select that and click on open. And then this is the preview for you to make sure that everything has been uploaded and you agree about the formatting. Now, so here you can see here is the Excel spreadsheet preview and all of them. So if you are okay with that, you click on next. Here, the system automatically indicates which one is the quantitative data, which one is the qualitative data. So you have to also review, making sure that what the system has determined is right. So as you can see here, participant ID in terms of P1 is a qualitative data. Yes, I can choose that as a qualitative data. And then the survey type, yeah, I'll just leave it alone. For age is integer, so this one was chosen, and the level of education also integer is a quantitative data. So we just have to review and make sure that everything has been selected right. And here too, it's indicated decimal because some the number has a decimal point. So the system has selected decimal. So if you agree with everything, if you don't, you can unselect and choose the right one. So if you agree with everything the system has selected, the next step is to click on next. So here it said use case IDs from the columns. Here you select the ID that you have provided to them. So you can click on participant ID, and also the preview is here for you to see, right? And then you can go in terms of the document type. I don't do anything here. I just go ahead and click on import. So as you can see here, we have the document. This is the document name, which is data about mental health stigma. And then you see that when you click on this arrow, you can see all the P1, P2 until P100, right? This is for 100 participants. If you want to see each of them, participant response also demographic information, you can double click. So you see that when I double click participant P3, all the participant information here, they are demographics and open-ended responses. Are also here. And what is not here is their quantitative data. And I'm going to show you where you can find the quantitative data. So this one is, so if you want to start the coding process, you just double click on the case, which is each of the participants, and start the coding process. For here, the system has grouped participant responses into various containers. All participant response related to their thought on stigma is here. So when you double click on the thought of sigma, and then you can see participant, these are their responses, right? And you can even code the data here if you want to. So you can click on, let's say you want to really code only the responses related to their thought about mental health stigma. You can just double click on it and click on here and then start the coding. So if you want to code, you can click on this one, this icon, code retrieve segment with a new code, and then click on that, and then you can indicate the new code that you want to use. Right? And if you want to use an existing code, you can click on this one and then look for the existing code that you want. And you can also do auto coding, but this is it's not part of this presentation, right? So as you can see here, participants' responses have been grouped based on the questions that you ask them. So you ask them questions about the causes of stigma, and when you double click on this one, you can also review their responses here, right? And you can code it directly using this icon. Just read the code if you want to code it into existing code, or if you want to code it with a new code, then you can click on this second one, right? So this is another way of you, if you want to just focus on a specific responses, participant responses to a specific question, you can code it from here. But I'm interested in coding it from above here. So I just click on participant one and I look through the response and started coding. And after that, I go to the participant two and do the coding. So now let's see what we have done now. We have finished preparing the data, right? So we finished with this one. Perfect. So the next one that we have to go is to create containers for the research question. Remember that we have two qualitative research questions, right? So these are the two qualitative research questions. And then so we're going to create containers for only the two qualitative research questions. For the quantitative one, we will address that later. So first, you have to have a label for your research question. Why? Because you want to create a container in MAXQDA and then code the data and arrange codes based on the research question that you have. So as the first step is to label your research questions so that it can help you to create containers that will help you to also organize your code that you're going to use. So the first one, the label is mental health stigma causes and contributing factors, right? And the second one label is mental health stigma solutions. So what we have to do is that you go to codes and click on the plus icon here. And then what you're going to do is I'm going to copy my research question label and bring it here, right? So, and then you can give it any color that you want. So let's give it this color, red. And then under code memo, you can also bring your research question just to remind you that you are addressing this research question and then click on OK. So you see that I've created a container for research question 1. I'm going to do the same thing for research question 2. So I bring the cursor here and then plus and then bring the second research question. So this is also the second research question. I'm going to also bring the um, research question itself. So I have it here and then I click on OK. So I have 2x2 research question 1 and 2, right? Then let's see, the next step is to start the coding process. So you can see that we finished creating containers for the research question, done. The next step is to organize the codes, right? So see coding as going through participant transcript or participant data, identify information that are significant, and then develop a label and connect the significant information to the label, and then bring that label under its respective research question. That label will be a code. So a code is just a phrase that represents the significant information that you have identified. So let's focus on research question 1 and go through. You can do both at the same time if you go through each of them. So we're going to start with participant 1, right? And then we're just going to go through and see, identify information that are significant. So looking at this, you can see the media portrayals, jokes, and stereotype might be one of the causes of burnout. So this information is significant. Then you decide what label should I use to represent this significant information. So the label could be negative media portrayals, right? So when you decide on the label, what you have to do is that you decide which research question is this one addressing. It is addressing the first research question. You bring the cursor here and click on a plus sign. And then you bring the label, which is the code here. And then you can also give a definition or there's a description of the code. If it's not required, but if you want to describe, you can say that this code represents participant expression of one of the causes of mental health stigma, which is the negative portrayal of media. So it's something that will help you to define what this information represents. It doesn't have to be perfect, or you don't have to write anything, especially if you know what this represents, you don't have to. And then when you are done, you click on, you can also choose different colors that you want. If you want it to be a little bit colorful, you can choose, maybe I choose this color, which is violet, and then click on OK. Now I've created a container representing this significant information under the first research question. The next step is to drag and drop that information into the code. So you see when I drag and drop that information here, the tag will come here representing the significant information. So that's how you're going to do. You're going to go through each of the participant transcripts and then identify information that are significant and then trying to match as much as possible to come up with a label that best represents the significant information and then create a code representing the significant information. So let's go through again. I can see here education, culture, and finance. It can be one of the contributing factors of mental health stigma. And the label could be cultural beliefs and misconceptions. So when you are okay with the label, you go to the respective research question, which is research question 1. You click on the plus sign here and then you bring the label. The code doesn't have to be really perfect. You can always go back and make the changes that you will have to make, but just make sure that the code is in between 2 to 5 words, fairly representing the significant information. And then you click on OK, right? If you change your mind about the code, you can right click on the code and go to properties. And then you can change the name here if you want to. You can always change the name if you think about the best label that you want to give to represent the significant information. Then, so when you are done, you click on save. And here I'm going to drag and drop the significant information into cultural beliefs and misconceptions. So when you drag, you see here that there's one information here. If you want to see what is in this container, you can double click on it and then you can click here and to show what is in the container. This is only one quotation. So that's how you do so the coding process is going to identify information that are significant and develop codes, right? Sometimes as you are going through the data, you can identify significant information that you can just drop it into existing code. You can do that, right? So you don't have to create a code all the time when you see significant information. You always sometimes have to review what you have created and see whether you can connect that significant information to the existing code. If you cannot connect to any of the existing code, then you can create a new code that represented that significant information. So that's how the coding process is, right? So then let's see what the next one. So I found another one which is okay, so when you finish with this one, you go to the second participant. So you can double click on participant 2, and then this is what you're going to see, and then start the coding process again. So you look for information that is significant. So I can see education and lack of awareness. Education or lack of awareness is a significant information. Then you can decide what label should you use to represent it. It can be education as a structural factor. So let's assume that the label will be education as a structural factor. You click on the plus sign because it's addressing the research question 1. You bring the code here, you click on OK, and then you can drag and drop it into that, right? So that's how you have to do it. And let's assume that this one is significant, right? And then, okay, so let me see. So I see one that is also called ignorance and lack of empathy or understanding, right? So this one is a significant information that can be the causes of mental health stigma. And then I have a label called ignorance and lack of understanding. So I go here, plus sign, bring that information here and click on OK and then drag and drop. So that's how you're going to do. When you finish, go to participant 3, you do the same thing. Let's assume that this information is significant and is related to ignorance and lack of understanding. You can drop it into this container. All right. Let's say this one is also maybe significant and related to education as a structural factor. You drag and drop. So that's how you're gonna do. You go through and drag and drop it into existing information data. So the principle here is that whenever you see a significant information, you have to, and you have existing code, you have to think about which of the code can you connect to this significant information. If you cannot find any code that you can use to connect to this significant information, then you create a new code. So that's how you're going to do. Because of time, I want to show you my final product, how it looks like, so that you can see. As you can see here, I've coded the data addressing the first research question, and all these are the codes under the first research question. You can see here that for cultural beliefs and misconception, have 16 significant information. If you want to see all the 16, you can double click on it. And then this is what you're going to see, and you can click on it and you can see all the quotations that was extracted. So now, you have to do the same thing for research question 2, right? So now, when you finish coding all the data and you have your codes, the next step that you have to think about is categorizing the code to develop themes, right? And you can categorize it within MAXQDA. And let me show you how to do the categorization. You can go to codes, click on creative coding. You can use this space to group the codes and then give it a label or develop themes, and then after that it will reflect on your left side, right here. So to start the process, you have to bring all the themes, all the codes to the right side, right, including the label for the research question. So how do you do that? You select you select everything here in terms of the research question one, and then drag and drop it here, this space. So let's start the categorization process, right? So as you can see here, what your role here is to group them based on similarities. So you have to examine each of the codes and see whether they have any connection with other codes, right? And if they have, you can always categorize them, right? So if they have the relationship, then you can group them, and then after that you can label the group, and that label will be a theme. So let me show you how it's done. So let's assume that ignorance and lack of understanding, and then you look for any code that has something relationship with ignorance and lack of understanding. And I can see that lack of awareness have something to do with ignorance, and limited mental health education can also be some relationship with the two quotes that I have here. And the next one is unwillingness to learn, and then education as a structural factor. Education as a structural factor. So I think these five quotes has something in common, right? They all talk about, education. They all talk about lack of awareness. And lack of awareness also goes well with education. And they have a relationship with ignorance, right? So the principle here is that think about what each of the codes represent and find out whether there's a relationship between them, right? Based on that, you can group them. And then after grouping, you can decide, okay, for this group, what label should I give, right? Or you can finish grouping all of them and then start the label, right? So let's try the next group, right? The next group that we can think. So where is the fear? Something related to fear and misunderstanding. So I can put it here and see, and then I can also group cultural beliefs can be here. I don't know whether I think there might be some connection, but for now I'll separate them. And then societal norms and expectations can also be part of the cultural beliefs and conceptions. And then we have historical biases too, can also be part of this one. And education and cultural background can be here. And then poverty, something about media can also go here, right? This about media. Lack of mental health understanding. This one is socioeconomic constraint. So where is socioeconomic constraint? Socioeconomic constraint. Okay, so poverty access can be here. So you can always review and make some changes to it if you think any code doesn't belong to the initially developed group. You can always move them around. So for the first group, we can call it knowledge deficit and educational gap. And then what you're gonna do is that you see here, you click on new code, and then you can bring the name of the code here. You have to make sure that you put the theme in a parenthesis so that it'll be separate from the other ones. And then you can give it a different color that you want. Click on OK. So I have this one connected to these. So what you're gonna do is that you click on this connector. It's called link, right? Defined as sub code. So you click on that, and then you can first link this one to the code, right? So when you link it to the code, it's disconnect from the research question that you have here. So, and then you kind of can link this one to this code, this one. So link to them. And as you are linking to, you also have to review and make sure that everything is right. And then I will link this one to the theme. So when you finish, you can click the link again so that you can be able to move stuff, right? So looking at this one, which is called knowledge deficit and educational gap. Is there anything that can join this one? I think this one is alone. So the next one, this one is which is alone can be called psychological and emotional barriers. So this one can be labeled as psychological and emotional barriers, and then you can click on new code, and then you can bring the theme here, type theme, and then click on OK. So after doing that, you have to click on link and then connect this one to the code and then connect this one to the theme, right? And click the link back and then you can move it, right? So that's how you're gonna do. You just go through, group them, develop codes, and then connect, right? So the next one is cultural and societal conditions, and I think it's linked to this one, right? So I click on new code, bring the theme here, and then I can indicate this one, can give it a different color, click on OK. And what you're going to do is to connect. So what I'm going to do here is to click on the link, connect this to, so I finish connecting and then I'll connect the research question to the theme, right? When you finish, you click on that. And this is what you're going to do, see. So that's what you're going to do for all of them. Because of time, I don't want to, I will not be able to do this, but you do it for all of them, give it the names, the labels, and then when you finish, you click on finish creative coding, and then it gives you this information and you can click on yes. And then when you do that, what will happen is that everything will come here. So you see the team and also the codes that are connected to the team. This is the same thing, right? So let me show you the final product so that you see how everything it looks like. Let me go to home and open the final one. So I think this is the one with the themes. So as you can see there for research question one, I have all the themes here and then quotes under them, right? So that's what you're going to do. You just go through the process using the creative coding, go to code and use creative coding platform or functions that will help you to group your codes, right? So you're going to do the same thing for research question two, the same process. Let's go back here and see where we are. So let me see. Okay, so we have done with organizing codes. We have done with developing themes. We are going to do the statistical analysis addressing the two research questions. So let me show you the two research questions again. So what is the effect of gender on cultural intelligence and what's the effect of education on cultural intelligence? So how do you do that? You go to Stats tab and then click on this one, Stats with all documents. You click on that, and this is what you're going to see. It's quite similar to the Excel spreadsheet, right, that we have. So we have all the participant information. And here, what is we are interested in is this cultural intelligence. And we also interested in the gender and education. So for gender, because we have only two groups, you can do t-test. Right? So what you're gonna do, you can also do descriptive statistics. You can do descriptive statistics for the demographics. You click on descriptive statistics and you click on frequencies, right? Normally you just focus on categorical variables. So it gives you the number of participants connected to each of the groups and the variables. So I'm choosing gender and education. I click on OK, and then this is what you're going to see. See gender, we have 51 females and 49 males. And then we have their percentage. If you want to see education, you go here, change it to education, and see the number of participants for associate degree, bachelor's degree, doctorate degree, high school, master degree, and the numbers are there and their percentages, right? You can also click on this one to show visual representation. This is giving you the percentage. You can change the percentage to numbers, right? You can change it to numbers, right? And so you click on it to change it to percentage and numbers if you want to. If you want both, you just click on it again, both. So, and then, so this what you're going to have, you can also change it to pie charts, as you can see here. You can, always make some changes that you want. You can even change the colors by going here and changing the colors, right? And you can export it if you want to export, right? That's what I have for you for demographics in terms of descriptive statistics. We can also go to descriptive statistics again and go to descriptive statistics here on that. And then this time we are focusing on, because we want to see the mean and the standard deviation, we want to focus on the continuous variables like age, right? And maybe cultural intelligence, right? And then click on OK. So this is what you're going to see, the age, this is the number of participants, they are 100, and also these are the mean and standard deviation for the age and also cultural intelligence score, and there's no missing data. And this one too, you can click here. This one is giving you like a box plot. If you are not familiar with box plot, that's okay. You can learn more when you go to maybe ChatGPT. You can put this information there, and ChatGPT can also give you a description of what this one is all about. If you want to change it to cultural intelligence, you can change it to cultural intelligence now. But if you want both, you click on this one, and this one is showing you for age, box plot for age, and box plot for cultural intelligence. One basic information that you can see here is that there's no outlier. So there's no score or information that is out of the ordinary, right? You cannot see any plot or everything is within the box, right? So most of the participants are within the box, and then this is also showing the average, which is about 40 for age. And this one is cultural intelligence, the average to maybe in the middle here, right? So as I said, if you are not clear, you can always use AI tool to help you to make sense of this. You can screenshot and send it to ChatGPT or Cloud AI or Gemini for it to provide you more information. You can also click on this one. This one is like histogram for cultural intelligence. You can change it to right. So it looks like cultural intelligence is close to normally distributed. It's normal distribution. I'm not all that sure about that. Just by just looking at it, it looks more like it's normally distributed. But when you look at this one, yes, it's normally distributed because this score is more than 0.05. So assuming that this one is shows whether it's normally distributed or not, right? So but you can also check and see, right? So this is all about the descriptive statistics. Let's go to our main purpose, which is to address the research question, right? So what is the effect of gender on cultural intelligence? How are you going to do it? I think the first thing that you have to think about is that you have two groups, right? You have male and females, right? You have the two groups here. So, and then you have the cultural intelligence will be the dependent variable, and also gender will be the independent variable. And under independent variable, we have two groups. So t-test, you are comparing two groups. So you have to use t-test. So if you click on compare groups and click on t-test for independent samples, and then you can so you see here groups, you bring the gender here, you select gender and bring it here, and then indicating group one is female, group two is male. And then you click on cultural intelligence scores and bring it here as a dependent variable. Right. When you finish, you click on OK. So if you don't have a solid background of understanding or you don't have a good background of statistics, I think that's okay. I think what you could do is, as I said, you can screenshot and send it to AI tool for it to explain to you. But let me give you a basic understanding of what you see here. So you see here variance, homogeneity, right? Think about, for you to use independent t-test, first, there are some statistical assumptions that has to be met. One of the assumptions is that the variance should be homogeneous, right? So this number is just showing that there is homogeneous, right? So whenever the p-value is more than 0.05, using this test, we call it Levin test, right? So Levin test is used to find out whether the variance is homogeneous or not. So if it's more than 0.05, it means that it's homogeneous, right? If it's homogeneous, then you read here, right? You read this row, right? If it's not homogeneous, you read the second row. So you see here that it's homogeneous. So we're going to read the first row here. So you can see here that T value is negative 0.726. And what we are interested in is the P value is 0.7653. Because the p-value is more than 0.05, it's just showing that there is no significant differences between the two groups, right? So you see there's no significant difference between the two groups. So you can see here that the mean score for the cultural intelligence for the female is 3.72 and the male is 3.93. The difference is not much, and that might be the reason why the difference is not significant, right? So this one is just showing that there's no significant difference between the two groups that you have. So at the end of the day, the conclusion here is that there is no effect of gender on cultural intelligence because the p-value is more than 0.05. Because this is not statistics, I'm not teaching statistics. I will not be able to go into detail, but as I said, if you want to learn more, you can always screenshot and send it to ChatGPT or any AI tool, and the system will be able to break things down to you. Right? But the number here is showing that there's no significant difference between the two groups. Therefore, there's no significant effect of gender on cultural intelligence, right? Cultural intelligence doesn't depend on the score. Participant score of cultural intelligence cannot be explained by the agenda. So that's what this one shows, right? So we finished with gender. Let's do education, right? So education, we're not going to do t-test for education because we have more than two groups, right? We have about 5 groups under education. So what we have to do is we have to do ANOVA, right? Whenever you have more than 2 groups, you have to use ANOVA, right? So we click on ANOVA, which is analysis of variance, and it's one way because we are focusing on one independent variable, which is education. So we bring the factor here, and then we can also bring the score, which is the cultural intelligence score here. When you are done, we click on OK, and let's see the results. Here, there's a lot going on, but don't worry about this one. Let's focus on this part first, right? So what you are interested in right now is the p-value. You can see here that the p-value is 0.3536. It's more than 0.05. So it's just showing that there's no significant difference between the groups with respect to their cultural intelligence. Or you can say that there's no significant effect of education on participant cultural intelligence, right? If there's no significant effect, there's no need for you to go and review this one because if there is an effect, then you can find out where is that effect. Is it in between associate degrees participants and bachelor degrees, or is it in between high school and doctoral degree? But because overall effect is not significant, there's no need for you to review this information. Again, if you don't understand, you can screenshot and then you can give it to ChatGPT or any AI tool and it will explain it to you. So the second research question, what is the effect of education on cultural intelligence? There's no significant effect, right? And even this one too, if you give it to an AI tool, it will also help you to give you how to write the findings, right? Based on what you have here. So we are done with the statistics. Let me know whether you have any questions. I'll be happy to address them for you. If you want me to go into detail too, let me know. I can do a video only focusing on this part. So we finish the statistics. Now we're going to do visualization. Okay, so we're going to do visualization. So let's first visualization is that if you want to create a table that will show all the themes and also the number of segments or the number of significant information connected to the theme. Then you can go to the code tab and go to see the code statistics. Click on that and then choose the second option, subcode statistics. And then what you're going to do is that you'll bring the research question, right? to display. The reason why we have only one research question is that I didn't code for the second research question, right? If you code for all the research questions, it will be here. So you bring the one that is appropriate here and focus on only research question one. And then you leave everything alone. You don't do anything here. You make sure that coded segments is checked, and then you click on OK. And this is what you're going to see. So this one, it gives you all the themes, right? And then also the number of segments. So the first theme has 80, the second one has 58, and the next one 21, 17, and 16, right? And also the percentage. What you could do is that you can visualize it by clicking on view chart, and this is what you're going to see here. You can change the color if you, or the color here. You click here to change the color to the one that you like. You can also turn it around if you make it vertical if you want to. You can also add the numbers and also the percentage if you want that. So there are many things that you can do and explore. You can make it pie chart if you want to. You can bring the percentage if you want to do that. And you can export whenever you are done, you can export this one. This one is going to be helpful if you want to show how many significant information or segment that are connected to a specific theme, right? So we are done with this one. Let's go to the second one. The same place, not the same place. So the next one is you are trying to compare codes, right? So you want to show a table that will show you the codes, one or two or more codes, and also the significant information that are connected to each of the codes so that you can compare the evidence, right? So if you want to compare all the quotations based on the codes that they are connected to, you can use this one. So you go to code comparison, and let's say I choose these two codes, right? To do a comparison and click on OK. This is what you're going to see. So you see that I have all my participants, right, checked, and then all the quotation related to this code, which is media influence, and then another, and all the quotation for negative media portrayals, right? So these are the two you can compare. If you want to, you can export if you want to export. And if you want to limit it to a specific participants, you can also select those participants that you want to see the significant information that are linked to, right? So you have a choice to do explore further and find out some connection between the evidence that you have and explore further, right? So this is what I have for you concerning code comparison. As I said earlier, not all of the visual representation is useful. You just have to choose the one that first you understand, and then secondly will help you to present your findings in a meaningful way. So the next one is to compare cases with the cases are each of the participants, right? You are comparing cases based on the codes that have been developed and also significant information that you have, right? You can go to analyze and click on compare cases. But before you do that, you can even activate. If you want to bring all the cases, you can click on here, this one to activate all the cases. And then if you want to bring all the themes under research question one, you can also activate this one. You see when I click on research question one, it selects all the codes and theme under research question one. When you are done, you go to analysis and go to compare cases and groups and choose the first option, which is qualitative. And then if there's something here, you have to clear them. And you see here, you can click on insert activated documents, right? If you haven't activated any document and you want to bring individual document, you just have to select and drag and drop. This one, we want to bring all of them. So we're going to click insert activated document, and we want to bring all of the one that we have activated or selected. So we click on inserted activated codes. And then when you are done, you click on OK. So this is what you're going to see, right? And if you want to see all the themes connected to a specific participant, you can just collapse the theme, the codes under the themes here, and then can click on them. So when I click on this one, 21 statement, I think they are shown in some of the places, right? So you see here 50 participant 50. You can see this quotation, and I go to here, I can see all the quotation. When I click on the second theme, move around, I can see there are a lot. There are 100 participants, so you have to move around and see, right? So this one will help you to know for the specific theme who are connected to the team and what did they say, right? And you can export this one if you want to. You can export it and to show all the quotations connected to a specific theme, right? So this is what I have for you. So let's move on to the next one. The same place again, but this time we're going to select this one, quantitative code frequency, right? So let's see what we're going to get. I click on quantitative code frequencies, and then I click on insert activated document, insert activated code. So I bring all the codes and also all the documents and also all the code here, and then including the themes, and I click on OK. And this is what you're going to see, right? So you have all the themes. You can collapse it and also can also expand it if you want to. Whenever you expand it, there'll be nothing there corresponding to the theme. But when you collapse it, you can see that it comes together, it aggregates in terms of the number of quotes under each of the themes, right? So this is what you're going to see. You can always change the display. You can bring percentage if you want, if it makes sense. You can bring numbers if it makes sense. You can also export if you want to export this information. So it looks like it's going to be a big table, right? But this one can help you to explore further who are connected to a specific theme or codes, right? So one means that the one significant information is connected to this theme, right? Okay, so let's talk about the next one. So the next one is you are using the mixed method function and you go into segment metrics. So the segment metrics, think about segment metrics is like comparing demographic variables based on the themes that you got and also seeing the evidence that you have, right? Connected to the theme and also connected to the variables. So if you are not sure about this, let's do it together and see what we're going to get. So you go to mix methods, you click on segment metrics and click on the segment metrics again. And this is what you're going to see. I think I've already brought this one here. Let me clear this place. So let's say we want to look into gender, right? So we select gender and bring it here. We have to choose the groups that we have. We want to choose the females and then double click on gender again and choose the male so that both of them will be here, right? And then I click on OK. So when you click on OK, this is what you're going to see, right? You can see here that I have all my themes. Let me collapse. I have all my themes. And when I click on it, I'll be able to see significant information connected to the females and also connected to this theme, structural and economic barriers, right? And then we have significant information connected to females, right? When I click on the second one, which is about the media, you have all these significant information for females and the significant information for males. And you can export this one if you want to by clicking on this one, right? So this place again, you can also explore your data or your findings using Crosstab, right? So click on the Crosstab and go to Crosstab. And here, if you, let's say you are still interested in gender, or this time, let's say we are interested in education. Double click on education and select the groups that we want. So we select the first one, double click, select the next one. So it depends on the group that you want. If you want to bring all the groups, you have to do it one by one, double click, select the next, and click on OK. And then what will happen is that we show all the themes, right, as you can see here, and then the groups that you have and a number of significant information. So you can see here that for bachelor's degree, we have 5 significant information connected to this theme. We have 7 significant information connected to this theme from the high school group. You can also export it if you want to export. And then these ones will give you the total. So you can see here that in total, 28 statements were connected to associate degree participants, right? So this is what you can have. You can also explore the visualization, whether you want to indicate a percentage or just the numbers, right? and you can export it whenever you are ready. You can also send it as an Excel spreadsheet. So the next one is we can explore visual tools, and what we are really interested in is Code Metrics Browser, right? So let's click on that and see what you're gonna get. So this one will give you the option to choose groups, document group or the document. We just want to focus on the document this time, and then click on OK. And this is what you're going to have. It's quite similar to what we have previously done, but this time you have individual cases. Individual participants are here, right? So you can see here also the number of significant information connected to each of the theme also are here. And this one too, you can change it to percentage, you can change it to numbers, and you can export it if you want to, right? So this one, as I said, is quite similar to the Crosstab, but this one is for individual participant, right? So if you want this one to, you'll be able to create that. So the last but one, okay, the last one is creating word cloud. So you can create word cloud by, you see here, it's saying visual tools and click on word cloud. And then you drag and drop the list of documents to this place, right? You can easily drag and drop. You can do individual cases, you can drag and drop them, right? But this one, we are not interested in individual cases, so I can click on clear list to clear this place. I just want to select all the activated documents or cases. So I click on that and I bring all of the participant information here. So you can do it for individual participant or you can do it for all of them, right? And click on OK. So when you click on OK, this is focusing on everything participants said, right? The open-ended responses. And then you can go to format. You can change the colors if you want to. You can change it to any one that you want. And then after that, you can always go to start here and then export, right? So that you can be able to use that. So this one shows that the bigger the font, the higher the number of times they make reference to it. So they talk more about help, they talk about mentor, they talk about year, they talk about support, and you see that it shows the number of hits too. This one is like 53 hits. This one is 138. You can also do the same thing for code, right? So you can click on Code Cloud, and then this time you're going to select the document. I'm going to bring all the documents here, all the cases. And this time, I'm just going to focus on only, let me see, two codes. And let me focus on all the codes, right? In this case, I've activated all the codes for research question one. So I can click on insert activated codes and click on OK. So here you see that it's for all the codes under research question one, and you see here that it shows you the dominant code. This one is the dominant code under research question one. It has 53 segments, and the next one could be this one, which is about 23. Right. And go to format, you can change the colors if you want to, and you can export, right? So this one is just showing the codes, and the bigger the fonts, the higher the number of significant information connected to that code. So another one that you can do for word cloud is simply clear this one. So let's say you want to focus on only the significant segments, right? The one that you have selected. And I want to really focus on maybe all participants. So I select all participants, all 100 participants. But this time I want to focus on all the codes under this theme. So I select all the codes under this theme. So when you do that, all the quotation will be here, right? So it looks like we have 79 quotations, right? And from 61 document, maybe it's showing 61 participants. Now you can click here, right? Word cloud, and then it will show you visual representation for only the codes that I have selected, right? Only the codes I've selected under this theme, right? And you can always change the colors. You can export it if you want to. When you click on also the specific code, when you click on a specific word, it will show you where you can find the words, right, within participant responses, right? So these are the things that I have for you. I hope this one was helpful. Let me know whether you have any questions. I'll be happy to address them for you. I did not touch on using AI. I'll do a presentation focus on only that, using AI to make sense of your data. But with this one, just focus on if you have a survey data with open-ended responses and also quantitative data, you can use MAXQDA to analyze it. Yes, you can do that. And I've shown you the process, right? Thank you so much for your time.